Alright, let's see.
Hey, Virgil! I won't lose to the likes of
Stab me,
little brother.
please. So I covered a lot of the May Cry 5 details on this channel already, focusing on easy to miss dialogues or hard to notice details in the environment. But today's video is gonna be a little bit different, and this time I'm going to talk about some details in character movement and animation that I find particularly interesting and detailed. First, we have Vergil's 3-cup circle. Not sure how to call it. Virgil is the only character who doesn't have a double jump. Instead, he uses movement called 3-cup to reach higher. And if you pause the game in the right moment, you can actually catch the moment when the circle appears below Virgil, revealing some unique symbols. Seems like this magic circle is related to Virgil's trick and teleportation abilities. It has a pale bluish-green color, and in the middle, spiderweb-like shape can be seen. But most interestingly, there are letters of the Greek alphabet can be seen clearly. I tried to translate some of these words, but it appears that they don't really seem to mean anything. I mean, you can try putting them to Google Translate and get some sort of a translation, but I posted this screenshot on my YouTube community page and I got multiple replies confirming that the letters and words don't mean anything. But as to why Greek letters specifically, I have no concrete explanation, and the only idea I have is that maybe it has something to do with Virgil now being referred to as the Alpha and the Omega, the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet, which also means the beginning and the end. As the dictionary.com says, in the Greek alphabet, in which the New Testament was written, Alpha is the first letter and Omega is the last. In the book of Revelation, God says, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, meaning that God remains from the beginning to the end of time. Wait, so does that mean that Virgil is God now? I don't know. And Dante is also kind of being referred to as the Omega if you take his theme Subhuman into consideration. The lyric says, so it seems like Dante is the Omega, but Virgil is also not only the Omega, but also the Alpha as well. Yeah, I'm not sure how to interpret it, however, there is one more thing we can do. We can also observe Dante and Nero's jump pads and put them into comparison with each other. There is a demonic magic circle appears below both Dante and Nero when they're using double jump, and for Dante when using his trickster ability in the air. The same demonic star symbol also appears for all Dante, Nero and Virgil when they enter and exit double trigger, and for Dante when he uses judgment. So it seems like Virgil's teleportation ability is different from a double jump that the other is doing. Well, obviously he is not jumping from a jump pad, he only using the energy to teleport upward or in any direction. However, there is one similar thing in Virgil and Dante's circle. If you look at the very outer circle, you can see they look exactly the same. It's a simple circle with 4 sets of dots. And then if you look at Nero's jump pad, this outer circle is missing. So since it's missing for Nero, we can come to the conclusion that this outer circle has something to do with the trickster and teleportation abilities both Uncle Dante and Daddy Virgil possesses. However, baby Nero can't do such things and he only has a simple double jump, although he makes up for it and can triple jump with the wings. My point is that it seems like Virgil taps into a different kind of energy that aids in his teleportation, and it is being symbolized by this enigmatic and rather sophisticated looking circle, instead of using the typical demonic energy that Dante and Nero using. So yeah, I don't have a clear answer to this magic circle and its symbolism, but let me know your thoughts. But moving on, we have a fun small detail in Nero's gun reload animation. When you start holding the shooting button to charge up the bullets, Nero begins to reload his gun. This animation, however, is dependent on whether or not Nero is currently equipped Devil Breaker has fingers. So this is how it looks like if Nero has fingers on his Devil Breaker, reloading the gun normally. However, if he uses a Devil Breaker that doesn't have any fingers, for example Helter Skelter, then he puts the gun under his arm to hold it in place and reloads with one hand. Also worth noting that if you shoot while in double trigger, the Nero also shoots summoned swords, followed up by the bullets. And if you hold the charge shot to the maximum, the Nero has a full amount of 6 projectiles spinning around him, which makes it look very similar to Virgil's summoned swords, so we can be very proud of Nero for being able to do it as well. These projectiles are not exactly shaped like a sword, however, they look more like a feather or a curved knife or a curved sword, and spinning instead of piercing forward. The next detail I would like to show you is more related to gameplay. If you dodge with Nero, you can shoot at the same time if you are fast enough, and he will shoot in the middle of his dodging animation, which looks pretty badass. And I never really thought about doing it. Dodging and shooting, however, is not new to games. I think you can also shoot during dodging in Bayonetta. But the question is, can Dante shoot and dodge at the same time? Seems like he can't, and only Nero can. But could Nero dodge and shoot before in DMC4? Seems like he couldn't, and this ability is exclusive to DMC5 Nero. Just like when pushing down on the gas pedal in car games, there is also a trigger sensitivity measure added to DMC, charging up the Red Queen. So depending on how much you push down on the trigger, the exit charging can be very low, or go high, or can switch in between. But most of the time everyone is of course just immediately pushing down on the trigger as fast as possible to charge the sword quickly. But if you ever questioned why does it feel so good to spam the trigger charge, then this is why.
What are you, lonely? Hurry up and get moving!
However, this is not a new feature, and the trigger sensitivity was added to the Red Queen charging even in DMC4. After doing certain attacks and busters, if you stay still and letting the animation play out, the Nero does some fun things. For example, he poses with the Red Queen after completing this attack,
That felt good.
or he steps on the Angelos after bustering them, and even expresses his delight verbally.
Shit, yeah. 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 Tide's turning. Showdown.
The next detail is probably something most players notice, but it's still an interesting topic to discuss. If you double trigger with Nero, you can use certain attacks like Showdown, and during these, you can spot Nero actually pulling out a mirage version of the Yamato, just like he did in DMC4 when he had the katana in his possession. However, in DMC5, he no longer has the blade, yet he can still summon its energy to wield it for a brief moment. This ability seems to be similar to how Virgil can still use a mirage version of the Force Edge, although it's kinda hard to tell sometimes which weapons should be in the story canonically and which are just there for gameplay's sake. But it's cool to see Nero still using the Yamato, and I would love to see Virgil's reaction to it. Oh well, if only we could see Virgil being proud of Nero. Maybe one day.
I won't lose next time. Hold on to that until then.
I've already highlighted some animation details in previous videos before related to V. I talked about how each of his tattoos corresponds to one of his demons, and they disappear from his body depending on which demon you have summoned out. I also pointed out one of the cool execution animations of V, which is being similar to Virgil's movement. In this animation, V turns away from the enemy and pretends to walk away, only to suddenly turn back and deal the final blow. And similar behavior can be observed for Virgil, even in DMC3, where he walks away from the defeated Dante only to then suddenly turn back and stab him. And then in DMC5, he also does something similar during the boss fight. If he staggers you, then he scoffs and pretends to turn away and walk away, only to then yet again suddenly turn back and rush at you. I think it's super cool and a fun move, and it's nice to see things Virgil and we sharing in common, highlighting their shared memories and personalities. But after that video, I have received some comments about some kinda similar animations and behaviors that Virgil and we shares in common. Amongst these, we have similar dodging. So this is how Virgil dodges, implementing teleportation to his moves, with his body slightly tilted to the side as he is effortlessly avoiding attacks. And here is how he is dodging, kinda similarly tilting to left and right. Although the way they swing the weapon looks similar, the difference is that Virgil holds the scabbard in his left hand, while V holds the cane in his right hand, and his swinging looks a bit weaker and clumsier. Regardless, I can see the similarity. And then of course we have Virgil's iconic hair swipe, which got introduced in DMC3. V also does this periodically during his idle animation, although he fails to swipe it completely and it just falls back. Nothing happens. Virgil also continues his hair swiping in DMC5, but it's harder to notice. He does it during certain taunts or when he recovers from being stunned. Next we have a myth I wanted to look into. I think it's like the third time I read someone suggest that they noticed Virgil's facial expression is actually different depending on whether he stabs Dante or Nero. So allegedly, when he stabs Dante, his expression is a bit meaner and playful, but when he stabs Nero, he looks like he feels sorry for him. But is it true? Let's look into it and take a closer look. Come. Oh, he's doing it? Alright, let's see. Okay, I see a smile. He's smiling?
Just like old times.
Yeah, I guess. He looks happy.
Stand down.
Nothing to do with me? It has everything to do with me!
Nero.
Nero. Come on, do it.
Come on. Try it. Slow. Cut you down. Come on.
Do it.
Shall we dance?
Uh-oh.
Play
Uh-oh, uh-oh. He does look a bit more hesitant. Oh. Maybe he's a bit more tired. Do it. Tell me. Oh, he's doing it. He's doing it.
Stop where you are.
Stop where you are. Okay, maybe he's not smiling. Well, my conclusion is that, yeah, I can see it being true. Virgil is kinda smiles when he stabs Dante and reminiscing of the good old times, and he gets kinda serious when he stabs Nero. Okay, I'm pretty sure almost everyone knows about this detail, but I just don't want to end this video without mentioning Dante. But to be honest, I haven't noticed this detail until fairly recently, and I don't know why, maybe it just never registered. So the cool thing about Devil Sword Dante is that it can change shape and light up if you do things like using sword formation, or if you go into Devil Trigger. It seems like the blade opens up and fires up with bright red on the inside, with similar patterns that you can see on Dante's in Devil Trigger form. It's not a hard to notice detail or anything, but makes you appreciate just how cool this weapon really is. And that's all for this video. Let me know what you think of these details, or if I'm wrong about something, or if I missed something important. And as always, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Have a good one.